Every second, somewhere in northern China, sand is swallowing what used to be fertile ground. Deserts are expanding at a speed that would terrify most nations, but completely insane. They brought over 1 million rabbits into one of the harshest deserts on the planet, not as pets, not as a publicity stunt, but as living weapons against the advancing dunes. And what happened next forced environmental scientists around the world to completely rethink everything they thought they knew about fighting desertification. Welcome to Terra Factor, where we explore the planet's most mind-blowing transformations. Picture this: a landscape so barren, so lifeless, that even the wind seems to have given up. This is Kubuqi, China's 7th largest desert, a hostile expanse covering more than 7,000 square miles of Inner Mongolia. For context, that's roughly the same size as the entire state of New Jersey. The temperatures here swing between brutal extremes. Winter nights plunge to 20 below zero, cold enough to freeze exposed skin in minutes. Summer days climb past 120 degrees, hot enough to cook an egg on a rock. No rain falls here for months at a time. The few drops that do arrive evaporate before they even hit the ground. But Kubuqi wasn't always a desert. Just a few generations ago, families lived here. They farmed the land, herded livestock, and raised children in villages connected by dirt roads and shallow streams. Then something started to shift. And 15-story buildings. The people who stayed behind had no choice but to pack up and leave, abandoning homes their ancestors had lived in for centuries. The Chinese government watched this disaster unfold, and then came a man named Wang Wenbiao, a former school teacher from a small village on the edge of Kubuqi. Wang wasn't a scientist. He didn't have a degree in environmental engineering or access to cutting-edge technology. What he had was a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Every day, he rode his bicycle 6 miles through the sand just to reach the school where he taught. Sometimes, the wind was so fierce that dunes would form right across the road, forcing him to dig his way through. Other times, sandstorms would hit without warning, filling his lungs with grit and leaving him coughing for hours. One day, middle of the desert. The profits from that business became the seed money for what would become one of the most ambitious ecological experiments in human history. Wang's plan was simple in theory, but wildly unconventional in execution. He would plant millions of willow trees across the desert, using their deep root systems to anchor the sand and stabilize the soil, but trees alone wouldn't be enough. He needed something that could accelerate the transformation, something that could turn lifeless sand into fertile ground faster than any machine or chemical fertilizer ever could. And that's when he had his most controversial idea. Rabbits, not just any rabbits. Wang imported French Rex rabbits, a breed prized for their luxurious fur and remarkable adaptability. These animals had soft, velvety coats that didn't require shaving or plucking, making them incredibly valuable in the textile industry. But Wang wasn't interested in the fur trade, at least not primarily. What he saw in these rabbits was something far more valuable, an ecological catalyst. Rex rabbits have an extraordinary ability to thrive in harsh conditions. They can survive on dry grass and minimal water, reproducing at a speed that would make most mammals jealous. A single female can produce dozens of offspring every year, even in temperatures that drop well below freezing. But the real magic happens after they eat. Rabbit droppings are packed with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the exact nutrients that desert sand desperately lacks. Every time a rabbit relieved itself, it was essentially fertilizing the ground, transforming sterile sand into Rabbits have a unique digestive system. Unlike most herbivores, they can't fully digest grass seeds. This means that when they eat vegetation and then deposit their waste, those seeds pass through intact, surrounded by a perfect little packet of fertilizer. In other words, every time a rabbit did its business, it was planting the next generation of plants, complete with everything those seeds needed to fertilize the soil around the willows, allowing them to grow faster and spread further. It was a closed-loop system, a living engine that ran on nothing but sunlight, water, and the natural behavior of plants and animals working together. The results were staggering. Within just a few years, patches of green began appearing in areas that had been nothing but sand for decades. The rabbits multiplied rapidly, their population growing into the millions. As they spread, so did the vegetation. Scientists monitoring the project measured soil samples and found organic solar energy. He built one of the largest solar farms in the world, covering thousands of acres with nearly 200,000 solar panels arranged in the shape of a galloping horse. The panels create shade, reducing wind speeds even further and allowing grass to grow beneath them. Sheep, geese, and more rabbits are released under the panels to graze, keeping the vegetation in check while continuing to fertilize the soil. The economic impact has been just as impressive as the ecological transformation. In just 10 years, the region around Kubuqi generated over $10 billion in revenue from rabbit farming, solar energy, and ecotourism. More than populations in Kubuqi had quadrupled over the past 3 decades. Species that had completely vanished, desert foxes, wild deer, migratory birds, began reappearing. Groundwater levels rose by an average of 6 feet. Over 100 native plant species came back on their own, finding fertile ground for the first time in generations. The story of Kubuqi stands in stark contrast to another famous rabbit experiment that went horribly wrong. In the mid-1800s, a British settler in Australia released just 24 European rabbits onto his property for sport hunting. Within 50 years, that small group had exploded into over 1 billion animals, devouring vegetation across 2/3 of the continent and turning vast stretches of productive land into desert. So why did rabbits destroy Australia but save Kubuqi? The answer lies in management. In Australia, rabbits were released into the wild with no controls, no predators, and no plan. In Kubuqi, the rabbits are part of a carefully designed system. They're managed in controlled zones where their populations are monitored and their impact is directed toward restoring. The United Nations recognized Kubuqi as a global model for combating desertification, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe. The transformation of Kubuqi proves something that many scientists are only now beginning to fully appreciate. Nature isn't just something we need to protect from ourselves. It's a tool, a partner, a force we can work with to solve some of the most pressing challenges of our time. The story of Kubuqi is still being written. What began as one man's refusal to accept the death of his homeland has grown into a movement that spans continents. From a landscape that seemed beyond saving, life has returned. Trees stand where there was only sand. Water flows where there was only dust. And rabbits, those unlikely heroes, continue to do what they've always done, eating, reproducing, and quietly transforming the ground beneath their feet. So, what do you think? Could this approach save other deserts around the globe? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the most incredible transformations happening on our planet, make sure to subscribe to Terra Factor, because the Earth is changing, and we're here to show you how.